Lines of best fit. So we can be given a scatter plot, which just means that there are several points plotted on a graph. Sometimes it looks kind of like a cloud of points. That's a scatter plot. Okay, we can be given a scatter plot and we can be asked, what is the line of best fit? So the first thing we need to assess is, does this data have a basic linear relationship between it? So if we look at this, we can see that it's mostly going up. Most of the points follow the same trend. This K down here is a little bit off, but most of the points follow. So we could draw a line of best fit because it has a basically linear shape. If instead we were given a scatter plot and it had some points here, 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 something like this, well, this looks like it has a curve, kind of like an umbrella kind of curve. So no, we couldn't find a line of best fit for this. We could find a curve of best fit, but not a line of best fit. And if our cloud was so spread out all over the place, and all the points seem to have no relationship between them at all, then we would be unable to find the line of best fit. But for the example that we're given here, we can try to find a line of best fit. So we basically try our best to place a line somewhere in the middle. A couple of rules we keep are that we try to balance the points on either side of the line and have approximately the same number of points on the top and on the bottom. So I just drew a line and I'm going to adjust it. If you're doing this on paper, a clear ruler is very useful because then you can see underneath and you can count. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 on the bottom. So maybe this should go up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This might be a little bit better, so you could adjust it a little bit more till you feel like it's a trend that matches. We use the term trend specifically when we have on the horizontal axis time. So let's say for this example that we are dealing with a company and it's the number of years they've been open. And maybe the horizontal axis is the profit. In millions of dollars. This is a very profitable company. Okay, so now we have a bit of context for this question. So, if this is a company, maybe they have a few different values coming in. Maybe they're having a hard time tracking exactly what their profit is. Maybe they've hired a couple of different mathematicians, a couple of different accountants to go over their books, and there's a bit of money here, a bit of money there. They're estimating what their stock in the storeroom is worth, and they're doing some different estimates. So they're coming up with a few different values. So then in this case, they don't have an exact number for the profit every year, and they're going to use a scatter plot and a line of best fit to come up with an approximation. So we have a line now, and we can use it to say things like, maybe on average in the first 5 years, at the end of the first 5 years, what was the profit at the end of the 5th year? So if you're asking, what is the approximate average profit in the first 5 years, at the end of the first 5 years, you could look at t equals 5, and you could look up, work your way over, you would get 40 million. So at the end of the 5th year, the company has made about 40 million in profits at the end of that year. That's pretty good. Reasons why this graph wouldn't make a lot of sense: at year 0, you have 25 million in profits. Maybe it's a new company and it's carried over from another company and it started off with some money, or maybe the very first when you when you started, a bunch of people gave money, something like that. Why else could you have 25 million to start with? I don't know. So, you can also be asked outside of the data. So we just asked inside of the data. We asked at 5 years, what was the profit? And that's interpolation. We talked about it earlier in this course. You can also ask a question that relates to outside of the given data points. So you're extrapolating, you're looking into the future. So you could ask, at the end of the 10th year, would you expect the profit to be? At the end of the 10th year, you expect the profit to be about 55 million. That's helpful. Okay. At the end of the 30th year, what do you expect the profit to be? So let's look along, and our graph ends at 20. What can we do? We can make a bigger graph, or we can make an equation. So how do you possibly make an equation? There's all these points all over the place. Well, that's why we drew the line of best fit. What do we need to make an equation? All we need is 2 points. So let's use our y-intercept, 0, 25, and another point that looks like it's pretty bang on, I'd say right here, and this is 5 and 40. Okay, so we know the y-intercept to start. It's always helpful to put whatever you know into the equation. Okay. So what we don't know is the slope. That's what we need to find. How do we find the slope? We use our formula. I always like to write out the points again and write over top x1, y1, because this is my first point, x2, y2. You'll find you make less mistakes when you write it out. Okay, so we have the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And when we start subbing in values, 40 minus 25 over 5 minus 0. 40 minus 25 is 15 over 5, which is equal to 3. So now we found our equation. Okay, now I start off with y equals mx plus b, but really in this question, we said it's time t and profit p. So we should be using these variables. The profit p is equal to the slope, 3, times t plus 25. So if the question is, estimate the profit at the 30th year. Okay, so we just need to sub in t equals 30 into the equation. (90 plus 25, 115). Okay. Always include a word answer when you have a word problem. Therefore, the company will make about 115 million during the 30th year if the trend continues. The trend, remember the trend means that over time this is what appears to be happening. So it's possible that the trend might not continue. Maybe suddenly this company will become super popular and it'll be worth way more money. Maybe the company will be very stable and always make about the same. Or maybe the company will go bankrupt. But at the current trend, it appears in 30 years that it'll be worth $115 million in profit that year. So this is very helpful if you're trying to estimate something, if you're trying to figure out what something's going to be worth in the future. It is very helpful to be able to do a line of best fit, make an equation, and extrapolate or interpolate values that match the linear relationship. So remember the steps we went through. Number 1, is it a linear relationship? Can we do a line of best fit? Number 2, when we draw the line, make sure that it is balanced between the points. And finally, we can make the equation if we need to by using the information from the graph, either 2 points, the y-intercept, the slope, whatever you're able to figure out. So, but basically we need 2 points to find the equation. Then we can use the line to learn more about the relationship.